DEI Hire is the new N-word. I think we all know that by now. No need to pretend, no need to masquerade like it isn't, like black people are idiots who don't understand what many of you mean when you call them a DEI hire. We're going to talk about that on the podcast today and so much more, so let's go.
Love me or hate me, God knows you made it when he let his eyes on me.
Hello everyone and welcome to the This Bahamian Gyal podcast. Just so happy to finally be on this platform. This is officially my first podcast. Yeah, it's my first. It's my first because the trailer podcast doesn't count, right? I don't think it counts. Anyway, for those of you just discovering me, my name is Rogan. I'm a content creator over on YouTube with nearly 200,000 followers on that platform. I do social commentary, politics, and I react to the biggest news stories of the day. I actually decided to start podcasting because so many of my subscribers on YouTube requested it. They wanted to be able to listen to my content while they were running errands in their cars, picking up their kids from school, that sort of thing. And so I had been putting it off for such a long time, and I'm like, no, 2025, that is it. I am podcasting, so this is my official podcast. So you'll be able to listen to my commentary every week right here on this podcast. So I hope that you guys will stick with me and enjoy it and, weigh in on the conversation because that's always so important. So today we're talking about one of those big news stories. We're talking about DEI hires. Now, this topic has been all over the news because President Donald Trump, of course, signed his executive orders rolling back DEI and accessibility efforts. Now, this is one of those issues, if I'm being honest, that initially rolled off my back. I didn't pay too much attention to people saying DEI hires when it started, like maybe, I don't even know when it started. I don't know when the genesis was, but I do know that I saw an uptick during the election campaign season. That's when it started heating up. I think that's when it went into overdrive. And I said I was going to have to address this on my platform, which I did, and I'm addressing it here now because the people who are so quick to say DEI hires, they're not talking about individuals who are extremely unqualified for a job, but got a job in order to fill a quota. Because to me, if they were talking about somebody who were extremely unqualified, I would agree with them. I certainly wouldn't want someone who is unqualified taking a position from a very qualified person. They are referring, ladies and gentlemen, to any individual who happens to be Black, I would tick that box, Hispanic, foreign, I'm Bahamian, so I would tick that box as well, a woman, I would tick that box, I'm a woman, or a member of the LGBTQIA community. And as far as I'm concerned at this point, DEI hire is a slur. It's the blanket label that they use to offend every non-white person who they think didn't earn their job, their title, or their position. Now, like I said, during this past election cycle, DEI hire, at least that phrase, received a lot of national attention. And it wasn't just coming from people on social media. I certainly expect that from people on social media. That's what they do. But what I found was that politicians were calling people DEI hires, commentators, political supporters, YouTubers spend a great deal of time calling Black people DEI hires. The crazy part was there were some Black content creators who were calling other people DEI hires. There were people flooding my YouTube videos with their comments, DEI didn't earn it. And the problem for me is that the bigots out there, they aren't distinguishing between who is truly a DEI hire and who is just a minority. Well, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice, who happens to be a Black woman. Well, she was doing an interview on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. This was back in June 2024. And she weighed in on this topic of DEI hires. Now, I didn't happen to hear her comments in real time, but when I was developing this topic, I came across this interview and I thought, well, what better person to hear from than a woman who happens to be Black? Now, the lead into the conversation was about former Vice President Kamala Harris. So I just take a listen.
Donald Trump is already slamming her, Kamala Harris, and in his words, as being dumb as a rock. His words. He says she's dumb as a rock. Other Republicans are saying she was a diversity hire. What's your reaction when you hear that?
Well, that's extremely offensive and dehumanizing. And let me tell you what it means when somebody calls a person like me or anybody else a DEI hire. What that means is if you are a woman of any background if you are a person of color, if you are an immigrant, if you are LGBTQ, if you are disabled, if you're a religious minority, if you're a veteran, and you achieved success, rose to a position of leadership, you didn't deserve it. You didn't get there on merit. You got there because you got some unfair advantage. That is incredibly insulting to the vast majority of Americans who fall into all of those categories.
She is absolutely spot on. She is spot on. When you say someone is a DEI hire, what you're saying is that they didn't earn their seat at the table, that they are not deserving of respect because they were just recruited to make a company look diverse, that they took a spot from someone who was more deserving, more specifically a white person. And that phrase, DEI hire, it devalues the accomplishments of that individual. And what I've also noticed is that when some Black leaders fail, and I speak about this with my friends, and I have friends from all over the world, different races, different backgrounds, different religions. I mean, it just runs the gamut. We have these conversations, and I have these conversations, of course, with my Black American friends. But what we've observed is that when Black leaders fail, that failure is used as a way to disqualify any other Black person who might be up for a role. And that's serious, because white people are allowed to fail. Nobody says, I wouldn't hire that person after that because, you see what happened the last time we brought that person in. No. But I have observed this myself. And when you hear Black people complaining about having to work harder, be better, more accomplished in order to compete, a lot of times people roll their eyes and they go, oh my goodness. Now, there are times when I agree with that sentiment, and there are times when I don't. Because the reality is, there are some situations that are just more competitive than others. And so if you're going to compete, you're going to have to stand out in a major way, whether it's through your education, it's through your personality, it's through your experience. You have to stand out in order to be successful. Then there are Black people who work harder because they want to remove all doubt from the naysayers that they just don't belong at that table. It's almost as if that person, that Black person, has to attend an Ivy League school, run a successful business, or ascend to the office of the President of the United States in order to shake the stigma of being a DEI hire. And even that's not a guarantee, and I'm going to get into that a little later. Now, I understood why many companies initially had this intent to have diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And I have to remember to say that from time to time, because believe it or not, I met someone recently who's like, I don't even know what the heck DEI was until I watched your video. We just assume people know. But like I said, I understood why they wanted to have that diversity in their ranks. They wanted their employees to be more aware of their own biases. And they wanted to genuinely, many of them, to make a greater effort to include people who were different from the regular employees. The issue I had, and I don't know how you all feel, you can weigh in later, but the issue that I had was when it became forced, or they demonized white employees entirely. The Coca-Cola company always comes to mind, because I remember when they were doing their in-house DEI training, what a bit of a mess that was. Because you're going to create more problems than you're looking for when you demonize an entire group of people. And had Coca-Cola said to Black people or LGBTQIA workers what it said to its white employees, I think they probably would have been out of business by now. So, but back to this DEI, it's funny to me because there's this perception by a number of people that white people are just exceptional all the time. And they don't participate in DEI hires. Nobody who is white, especially if you're a white male. Let me clarify, because if you're a white woman, yes, they have been called DEI hires too. But if you're a white male, nobody thinks that you are a DEI hire. No one online is calling a white male a DEI hire. There are some white people who have had great success. I mean, top of the line success. And they didn't work for it. They got there due to nepotism, their connections, and of course, legacy. You have students at Harvard and Princeton and Yale, these Ivy League schools, who didn't get in on their own merit. They didn't have the grades to be there. They didn't have the extracurriculars. Their essays weren't the bomb. But what they did have was family with money who could make a contribution to the university that would guarantee admission. I think about someone like former President George W. Bush. He's a prime example of that. He was a C student. Can you imagine being a C student trying to get into Yale? He got into Yale due to legacy. I remember Huffington Post doing an article back in 2014 talking about how Bush benefited from affirmative action. And yet that didn't stop him from opposing affirmative action. I happen to read a lot of my comments on my YouTube videos. And for those of you who are just finding me, you can certainly watch my videos over there on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe if you like the content. But one of the things I started to notice is that anytime I did a video about Kamala Harris when she was running for president, or I did a video on a gay person, or I did a video on a transgender person, or a Hispanic person, going down into my comments section became like a landmine. And I would see that phrase DEI hire popping up an uncomfortable amount of times. There were Black conservatives who were watching my channel who would come across my video and they would comment that they had noticed an uptick in that phrase. I want you to take a listen to a content creator who goes by the name Truthing with Randy B. And she said something that struck me hard. People are comfortable with Black people being discriminated against. Just take a listen.
One thing that conservatives do very well is that they brand well. So they, in their attack against DEI, made DEI a Black thing. Anytime they would talk about a DEI job, they would attach it to a Black person. So when people started to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, they would associate it with Blackness. And what's interesting, I know what the truth is, as a person, as a professional who's been in this field for 20 years, is that DEI includes just about everybody except for white males. Okay, so it is for people who are neurodivergent. It is for people who have disabilities. It is for people that are veterans that are looking for a job. It is for people who are older that want to get in the workplace. It is for people who who may speak English as a second language, but they speak English. It is for people who, an LGBTQIA community, of course. It is for people who may come from a different religion than Christianity. It is to ensure that the workplace, organizations, are reflective of this country we live in. It is to ensure that when you're in the workplace, you feel welcome there. You feel as if you're Jewish, you can actually take off on your holiday and you're not just allowed to take Christmas off. It is there so if you need to have food that's halal or vegan or whatever it is. It is there to respect all people. But people were fine with voting for a president who made it clear, we cannot say the man lied, that he was going to get rid of DEI, he was going to wipe it out because you thought it was about Black people. And that's it. And people are comfortable with Black people struggling. People are comfortable with Black people being discriminated against. And so right now, people are like this, like, oh, we didn't know you meant us.
I can agree with that. I can agree with the fact that a lot of people, when they were talking about DEI hires, nobody really thought about someone who was disabled or differently abled. They weren't really thinking about Asians. It was mostly directed towards Black people and in second place, LGBTQIA people, for sure. You see, that phrase DEI hire might sound cool to repeat when you're attacking someone you don't like or you don't support. But I can guarantee you that if you're a minority and you're saying that, it's only a matter of time before someone uses that term to describe you. I remember when Vivek Ramaswamy, who also ran for president, And of course, he failed at that, had been critical of DEI policies. He wanted them gone. This is a man who is uber wealthy, attended an Ivy League school. He's the son of Indian immigrants. I was on X, formerly known as Twitter, the other day. And would you believe that there were a number of posts referring to Vivek Ramaswamy as a DEI hire? Went to an Ivy League school, extremely wealthy. I think he's been described as a billionaire. Highly intelligent man. I don't think anybody has questioned his business acumen or his intelligence, his speaking ability. I certainly haven't heard it. But yet, he was referred to as a DEI hire. All right, so some of you wanted to leave a little bit of feedback, so you left a voice note on my blog. So let's just get right into that. The first person's going to be, and I have not heard these, so you're going to be getting my reaction in real time. Let's go here. Paul DeCoster. I know Paul's name because I see him all the time on my YouTube channel. So let's see what he has to say.
How you doing? My name is Paul DeCoster. I'm one of your followers on your page. I don't think I've subscribed yet, but I intend to, because I do like whatever content you have to say, whether I agree with it or not, and I agree with it most of the time. You probably see me make a couple of cheeky comments on your page, especially with your future husband, Shannon Sharp. And anyway, enough about that. Don't want to kill the joke. Anyway, listen, it's a pleasure to meet you. Hopefully we can make your acquaintance at some time in the future, and be very nice to meet you. And just, I don't know. That's all I really have to say for now. And hopefully through this voicemail, there can be a little bit of respect and trust established, as is the case. And I think that's probably the most important thing we need to establish right now in this world is respect, because that's really where everything, it's really a building foundation upon which all future relationships can be. You know, whether we like somebody or not, the most important thing is respect, because that assures that, you know, our paths are unobstructed as well as the person of the other person. So you can agree or disagree, or maybe you can kind of like correct it if you need to, but that's my 2 cents.
I remember Paul very well now. I've seen his name and I was trying to remember which comments I may have seen, because he comments all the time on YouTube. He always makes me laugh. Always makes me laugh because he knows how much I love Shannon Sharp. I've done a few videos where I fantasize about Shannon Sharp. That's my boy. That's my guy. So thank you so much, Paul. What wonderful comments you left. And I'm so appreciative. And I'm trying to figure out a way that I can meet some of my subscribers and people who follow me, people who watch my content. I've had a number of people ask me if I'm ever going to do an in-person event. And here's the thing. This is twofold. Number one, yes, I have nearly 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yes, millions of people have seen my videos. And I still don't think I'm popular enough to go and sit down and say I'm going to have an event. Is that like a loser mentality or what? I probably need to be a little bit more bold in 2025. What do you all think? Because I'm just like, who the heck is going to come and see me? Little old me. It'll be just me and Paul. That's it. Well, maybe 2 of my friends will come. So it'll be just the 3 of them. 2 of my friends and Paul. But I'm definitely going to give that some consideration. The second thing is I am painfully shy. I am an introvert and I am shy. And a lot of people would not believe that, again, because I am on YouTube and what I do is very public, I suppose. And they would say, there's no way. Most people are very introverted who are in entertainment or podcast world. A lot of them. I could name off like probably 20 right now. Martin Lawrence is one of them. Eddie Murphy is another one. Oprah Winfrey is an introvert. There's so many people who are introverted. So it's hard. So I'm definitely going to give that some consideration because I have to figure this out. But thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate you. And he is a consistent supporter. Subscriber or not, he is a consistent supporter. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to this next comment. And like I said, I haven't listened to these in advance. I just want to play them so that you guys can hear. This is Javon. So here we go.
Hi, Rogan. My name is Javon. I'm a fellow Bahamian immigrant to the United States, and I live in the Midwest. Just wanted to say I love your channel. I love the content that you put out there. Your channel is very versatile. You have a lot of different topics that you cover, and I just absolutely love it. I love the perspective you give. I love that you're objective. I think you have very good insight when it comes to the different issues that we have that are just ongoing in the country, here in the U.S. And I just love the perspective you bring, and I think that you're doing a great job. I'm gonna do my best to help you to grow your channel and just make more people aware of your channel, so that you're able to push out more content to even more viewers. But yeah, it's great to know that there's somebody who understands what it's like to originally be from an island country, but also understand what it's like to live in the U.S. As somebody who's from another place, and just you understand what it's like to be in both places. So I think that's awesome, and I wish you all the best as you continue to grow your channel. And I hope that you do nothing but just, grow and become one of the biggest YouTube channels out there.
Thank you so much, Javon. If you could see me, I'm sitting here smiling because, wow, you never know what to expect when someone leaves a voicemail. And this is the first time that I'm doing this. I decided to do this so people could have a more interactive, I suppose, way of reaching me. And you just never know what people are going to say. Let me just say that. I love hearing from my fellow Bahamians. It's so nice to hear that you're in the Midwest. Ciao. You must be freezing your buns off over there because it was cold in DC. It's super cold in DC. Today was like the 40s, so it's okay. But thank you so much for all your kind words. It means a lot to me just to hear someone be so positive. Again, people who are in the content creation space, they know that more often than not, we get a lot of hate on this platform. And so it feels so good for someone to just come through with a kind word. And to hear you're a faithful subscriber means so much to me. It really, really does. And I'm glad that you enjoy the variety of topics that I do as well. I've had so many people say, why don't you just niche down to one thing? I don't think I could. I'm sure I could be way more successful if I did, but it's just too many things in the world I want to talk about. And then I'm just going to be sitting home going crazy because I can't talk about those things. So God bless you for just being so kind and just supporting my channel. The fact that you could say that you're going to, share it with your friends, and anybody who, will listen, that means a lot to me. Thank you so, so much, and stay warm. I don't know where you are in the Midwest, but I know the Midwest is cold. So stay warm there. We have one more voice message. So this person did not leave their name. So let's just hear them out. Let's go.
Hey, this Bahamian Gyal. I just wanted to let you know that I absolutely adore your channel, and I think that you're doing an amazing job. Regardless of the difference of opinions on certain videos, I want you to keep being yourself and doing what you're doing. You're helping us. You're teaching me. You're making me laugh. You're bringing things to the forefront that I had no clue about, and I just adore your content. I adore your channel. You are so talented. I was with you from the beginning when you did your acting content, and you should probably bring some of that back. But much love. Keep doing what you're doing and continue to be great.
Oh my goodness. You really were there from the beginning. Oh my God. Not a lot of people know that. I used to do, oh my goodness. When I first started YouTube, I was doing a lot of oh my goodness. I feel so embarrassed now that I think about it. I was doing wig reviews. I never wear wigs outside the house. I would just wear them on the platform, but I would buy these wigs and try them on for people. And I did wig reviews, and then I did my makeup tutorials, which I enjoyed to an extent. And then I used to always sort of weave in my skits. I would do all these skits on my platform. And so not a lot of people know about those skits. So the fact that this person sounds Bahamian to me, sounds Bahamian. The fact that she knows that I used to do skits, oh yeah, you were day one. Thank you so much. Again, I did not know what anybody would be saying, but I'm really appreciative of the kind words because I was already bracing myself for what was gonna come, especially after my last few videos. Oh my gosh, the hate was real. But you three, Paul, Javon, and this young lady, you guys really just made my day. Thank you so very much. And I want to hear from everybody else who is tuning into my podcast. If you want to weigh in on this conversation, you're going to hear how you can do that at the end of this program. But I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I hope that my listeners over on my platform on YouTube will definitely come and take a listen over here, because I plan to put some different content here that I don't have on YouTube. It just feels so like I used to work in radio. For those of you who don't know, I love radio. Radio is my first love. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to fix my hair. I don't have to do anything, aesthetically. I literally just have to sit here with my microphone and share my thoughts. And that is my thing. That is my zhuzh. So podcasting just reminds me of my radio days, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Of course, I want you to weigh in on the conversation. And thank you again to Paul, Javon, and the young lady who sent me voice messages. Thank you so much. And I will see you all in my next podcast. Bye. Thanks for listening to the This Bahamian Gyal podcast. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review. And be sure to follow me on YouTube and Instagram at This Bahamian Gyal. Also, we want to hear what you have to say, so weigh in on the conversation by emailing us at beourguest@thisbahamiangyal.com. That's beourguest@thisbahamiangyal.com. Or by going to our blog, thisbahamiangyal.com, and leaving us a voice message. Yes, if you're on desktop, you'll see the leave a voicemail button on the right of the screen. If you're on your smartphone, which I'm sure a lot of you are, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. We cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.